but this building still goes on. And I can remember horses and carts coming along here, and here there was all wooden blocks which were covered with tar. The reason being, when the horses and carts came along here, they didn't make any noise because there'd be a sermon going on in there and it wouldn't annoy anybody who was in listening to the sermon. And that was one of the things. But then, for some unknown reason, they dug them up. And when they dug them up, who was there to cart them away? Me and all the people who lived along there, and everyone had a load of tar blocks, running along with tar running out of your hands, and that was what we lit the fire with. And it saved you buying bags of coal, and we had literally hundreds of them, everybody had, because they're about 4 or 5 deep, and it was just one of those things that, well, we might as well use them, and we did. Anyway, let's go and see Sinclair Seamen's Church on the inside. Well, this brings back many happy memories. It was the centre, possibly, of Sailortown here, where I was born and reared. And although I'm not a Presbyterian, this was always one of the great places where all the great ceremonies took place. And having had a brother who was lost at sea in 1940, and having a look up here at all these wonderful artefacts with, there's an old artifact coming out here, Reverend Harkness as well, and all these, well, it just reeks of history, this, as far as I'm concerned. Reverend, good to see you.
Delighted to see you.
My pleasure.
Delighted
Pleasure.
to see you.
Pleasure. Beautiful. And all these wonderful artifacts. But this was all Sailortown, wasn't it? You know.
Indeed. I mean, if a sailor came in here, he could smell the sea, Frank.
I don't think it'd be anywhere else in the world.
There'd be no other church that I know of anywhere, and I've travelled extensively too.
Yes.
Where you would see collection boxes made in the form of lifeboats.
That's true.
I'll bring you up here, sure, and introduce you to some people. Mrs. Ailsa Campbell.
Ailsa Campbell. My pleasure, Ailsa.
Any photographs of yourself?
Oh, you are a very fortunate woman. You are going to be the recipient. There are only 11,000 of those left.
Oh, I'll treasure that forever.
I'm going to sign it for you as well.
Oh, great. Isn't this lovely?
Yes, kisses and all.
Oh, you've made my day.
Ruined your week. There you are.
Could I give you this photograph?
Oh, my goodness me. Oh, that's absolutely
and
wonderful.
there's your house there.
It is
just
indeed.
at the side of it.
It is indeed.
There you are.
Good God. Well, now, that's incredible.
That's you.
That's our house still standing. Can you give me a big lump in my throat?
Oh, well.
Do you know that?
Happy memories, Frank.
Yes,
Happy
indeed.
memories.
Indeed. I'll blow my nose. Well, thank you.
Not so very well.
Maggie Murphy was singing in the front row of the choir when she overbalanced and fell. She was hurtling down into the middle of the church and the leg of her knickers caught one of the rafters. And she went swinging up and down. And the parish priest said, "If any man turns round to look at that unfortunate woman, may the Lord strike him blind." And Riley turns to Flanagan and says, "I think I'll risk one eye." On we go, Paul. We're going now to May Street Presbyterian Church. I must tell you a good story about May Street. Well, it's one of the old stories, but mine are all old stories anyway. This was a lovely one about the horse was knocked down in Chichester Street, or Chichester Street, and the big policeman came up and said, "Now, what's happened here?" What's it? There was a lorry come around the corner, sir, and I knocked that horse stiff stone dead. And the policeman said, "Right, what's the name of this street?" He said, "It's Chichester Street, sir." Chichester Street. But he couldn't spell it, the big policeman said. "First thing we'll do is trail the horse round into May Street." That's a crack of that one. Yeah, here we are, just up on the left. So, let's go in and have a look at Frank Carson's expert plastering. What a beautiful church. This is one of the great achievements of my life, actually. I'll tell you why. You look up, you see that beautiful cornice work, the beautiful centerpieces, and I was one of the ones that helped to make it on a bench, screwed it up, mitered all the joints, and we actually done a wonderful job. And as you can see by looking at it now, and that's gone back 40 years ago. But I think the best thing of all was our cornice at the top. And well, I'm very proud to have worked on a building like this. And here I am in the church, a television star, a plastering star. God, how could one man have so much? I'll definitely go to heaven. Wow. And where do you get a plumber at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night? Yellow Pages. I rang him up. John O'Hanlon, plumber, 24 hours. He was there in 10 minutes. I said, the bathroom. There's a leak in the bathroom. 1 hour later, I went up and the place was flooded. I said, how long have you been a plumber? He said, 24 hours. I must show you this. Well, this is Great Georgie Street, actually. And there's a window up here. And there's a wee bit of Carson history as to why I'm going to show you it. See, just here there used to be a shop that sold fireplaces, Norman McNaughton's. And that's the West Link up there, which, you know, goes all around Belfast. And for some reason, I was coming from school and I stopped at the window to look at a fireplace. And I saw my image in the window like I'm seeing now. And I said, one day, Frank, you're going to be famous. Don't know why I said it. It was just one of them things. But, well, thank God it came to pass. I was down in London. I said to this fellow, who's the best comedian you have in England? He said, Ken Dodd. I said, where is he? He said, he's round at the Palladium doing a show. Well, I went round to the Palladium. There was a large crowd coming out. And I said to this fellow, what's the comedian Ken Dodd like? He said, he's the funniest comedian in Britain. I said, have you ever heard of an Irish comedian called Frank Carson? He says, he stinks. I said, well, I'm Frank Carson. He says, no, I'm Ken Dodd. Now, an event happened to me here. Where I'm walking to now used to be the main steps of the Midland Hotel. And one of the most graphic events that happened to me just happened here. Just let me put you in the picture of exactly what happened. Now, I was coming down from the Troxy Cinema. I was comparing a talent show. And I'm walking down here, and believe it or not, suddenly I stopped. And I couldn't, it was like looking at a movie. Who came out of there? Only Laurel and Hardy. And I walked right up and I said, good morning, Mr. Laurel. Good morning, Mr. Hardy. And they stopped. And I said, I'm like you, Mr. Hardy. I'm a comedian, Mr. Laurel. And they said, isn't he a nice young man, Stanley? And Stanley said, yes, Ollie. Seeing he's a comedian, shall we shake his hand? He said, yes. And I put my hand out, and I've seen them do it so many times in movies, and I put my hand out, and they went, and I took a fit of laughing. And then just a couple of weeks later, I saw them on television with Eamon Andrews, the late Eamon Andrews, and they said the same thing to him. Isn't he a nice young man? Shall we shake his hand? He said, yes. So he put his hand there. I mean, they're my idol. Well, they're everybody's idol. Even my grandchildren, they absolutely adore them. Who'll ever forget Way Out West? In the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Songs like that, right? Now, where's Paul? Have you got the plaque? Yeah. Thank you, that's lovely. This is the plaque. From the second week in June, or the fourth week in June, 1952. I've always thought about putting a plaque up here. So you and I are going to put this up together. How's that? We've also got a photographer to record the occasion. I'd like to say thank you, Dr. Billy Hastings, who's chairman of Hastings Hotel, for making me realise a lifelong ambition. And that's it there, to be able to put up that Stanlord and Arnold not only stayed here, but shook my hand on the steps of the Hastings building. We hear this. This is the worst one of all. This fella walks into the, this is real crap. This fella walks into the pub and he says, hey, that wife of mine's, what a pain in the neck. I wish I could get rid of her. He said, hey, you're in luck. See a fella in the corner? That's Artie the hitman. Shoot, you joking? Yeah, joking up. He says, are you Artie the hitman? He said, yes. He said, I want to get rid of my wife. He says, it'll cost you £1. Said that all? He said, yeah, it was to see I strangled him. But I do it as a hobby. So he gave him the £1. He said, well, how will I know your wife? He said, she shops in Tesco's every Tuesday. Where else? At 1:30. She wears an off-white weatherproof coat and a black and yellow shopping trolley. So Artie's waiting in the corner. This woman comes in with the off-white weatherproof coat and a black and yellow shopping trolley. And he grabs her and strangles her and throws her in the corner. But as he's walking out, another woman walks in with an off-white weatherproof coat and a black and yellow. Well, he grabs her, strangles her and throws her in the corner. But as he's walking out, the police catch him. And it says in the paper the next day, Artie chokes 2 for £1 at Tesco. For me, good night, and safe home for all of you. Good night, all. Well, Jimmy Doherty had a plumbing business as well. And on the side of his van he had James Doherty, plumbing and heating engineer. And then underneath that, the lone drainer. And then, on pronto. A cracker.